The COVID-19 pandemic has added a number of challenges to an already incredible mountain to climb for election administrators. It's just extremely challenging. So what we're going to do today is see how to apply some behavioral and some engineering controls to the polling place. These will empower the individual voters and election workers and improve the environment relative to virus transmission. Alongside these specifics, I do want to say that election administrators should definitely use guidance from the Centers for Disease Control, from the Election Assistance Commission, and certainly from their state and county health departments. So we've created this diagram of a model polling place. You'll see that it takes a science-based approach and not guesswork, not generics, to polling place layouts. When you look at the floor, you'll see what's called wayfinding. Wayfinding is a means to maintain some social distancing, some traffic flow, and flow is very important. One of the things that we'll want to do is decrease the voter's time in the polling place. And the way to do that, as you see in the diagram, is with floor decals, tape, arrowheads, signage. You can have stanchions, cones, rope, people to aid the voters in finding. Although it's ideal to have those lines outdoors and socially distanced, that may not be possible. So where possible, route those lines to a hallway, letting the voters queue up inside and maybe having to go outside just to go out of the hallway into the polling place. Where possible, opening double doors in the polling place, ensuring that HVAC fans run the entire time and flow the air in from places where there are not people to the outdoors or to places outside of the voting area itself is a good practice there. We don't show them on this diagram, but there are products from Air Labs, such as Air Bubble and Air Haven, that filter the air at a viral level and can maintain the air in the polling place to be cleaner. If it is all possible, keep a separate entrance door and a separate exit door. That, of course, provides the best traffic flow and the distancing of people as they enter and exit the polling place. Granted, that might not be possible. The diversity of polling places in the United States is extreme, and a good number probably do not have separate entrance and exit capabilities. So when that happens, use wayfinding, floor decals, signage, and have a keep to the right mentality. You'll see next to each of those entrances and exits in our model polling place diagram what's called a stop station. What a stop station has is two things in its physical nature. One, it has some information to the voter, and secondly, it's an area where the voter can get PPE. If they need a mask, they can get one. They can also take a dollop of hand sanitizer and use that on their hands. What does that do? So as we see in entrances to ICUs and hospitals and other places, it gives the voter, in fact, it even, in a sense, requires the voter to take a pause. It's important to do that, one, because you want people to take the measures seriously. You want them to take that moment and think about it. But also what it does subliminally is it lets the voter assimilate and process the fact that you've done something different as an election administrator, that you've provided a break, that you've provided that hand sanitizer, that you've provided that PPE, and that now going into the polling place has that measure of protection that the citizens expect, and that you have provided and done what you can do to provide a safer in-person voting experience. That's very important, and the stop station does that. What you may not have thought of also is having a second stop station, one proximate to the exit of the polling place. And now, once again, the voter can remove that PPE if they use PPE that you provided. They can use the hand sanitizer. Once again, if you've provided disposable pens or stylus with which to mark the ballot, they can dispose of that if they so choose. And now what you've told the voter is that when they leave the polling place, they're not going to take the virus with them. You've given them an opportunity to disinfect themselves, to empower themselves, and to know that when they leave, they have not taken the virus with them and spread it to their home, their place of business, their loved ones. I've gotten, as I've talked to election officials, a number of questions around, well, what do we do if someone is symptomatic? What do we do if someone does not want to maintain and wear PPE in the polling place? And you'll see in the upper left corner near the entrance that here there's wayfinding of a different color. There's a vote station and a polling place clerk there present for people who fall into those categories. In the United States, we do not deny access to the ballot box. If persons want to vote, they can. And having a separate, I'll call it a swim lane, for those voters, one that receives some special attention, disinfection after each voter, isolation from the rest of the polling place, even being outside, if at all possible, if weather permits, is a way to accommodate voters who are not sure that they might be sick, and if they don't want to follow the rules you've set down, based once again on advice you've been given, to the use of PPE. Another thing that you may not have thought of are some hidden vectors for transmission. Many jurisdictions provide a cell phone to the polling place, and if multiple people utilize that cell phone without it being disinfected every time, then that is a hidden vector for disease transmission. If one of the poll workers are shedding the virus, then they can give it to others. People are speaking into a phone, making it all the worse. Tote bins, carts, things that people handle and have handles. When multiple people touch those same surfaces, there is that opportunity for spread amongst the election workers. And once again, disinfecting those, keeping in mind that those are somewhat hidden possible vectors for transmission is very important. And last but not least, communicating both consistently and persistently to your citizens that you are doing something, what those measures look like, what the voter will see, what the voter may need to do differently than they have in the past, from past practices when they enter the polling place. All of those things, when you communicate those to the voters, you instill confidence, you help them to feel comfortable with participating, you help your election workers feel comfortable with participating, both of which are keys to success for the fall. There's difficulty recruiting poll workers. People are scared, and having a communications program that is once again consistent and persistent really can help you to allay those fears.